Hello and welcome. Today I'm on MX Bikes on beta 18. Just going to talk about some of my favorite changes. I'm not going to do like a full change log type video. There's enough of those already. I'm just going to talk about my personal opinion on some of my favorite changes. And the reason why I'm on this track on the GasCast is because if you saw my last video, I reacted to one of my first videos on the channel. I think it was like my third video ever, which was on beta 15. And then I rode around on the track on beta 17 right before 18 came out, and kind of compared the two. And so I figured I might as well splice in some videos from, or some clips from those videos, to demonstrate what I'm talking about for some of the things. But right off the bat, the two big things I want to talk about are the fork simulation and the terrain layers and deformation changes, because those two things are a big game changer when it comes to the way the game feels. Even though there weren't really physics changes, those do definitely make the bike feel a lot different. So starting off with the terrain, I'll splice in some videos showing off the fact that, like, this triple, for example, I cannot clear, whereas I was able to in beta 15. Not 17, but I was able to clear the last two jumps on 17, which I can't on beta 18. So the game is definitely a little slower as far as the way it works on the ground, and obviously this track was made a long time ago on beta 15, so it's definitely not made for beta 18, but I just wanted to point that out. That is one thing. Like, there may be tracks that you ride where there's jumps you're able to clear before that you can't now, just because of the different changes in traction and whatnot, and how the bike reacts with the soil types. And then for the fork simulation, as you saw there, we just really cased that jump and we were at an awkward angle, and the front end did not explode when we landed. So that is very, very nifty. The front end is way more predictable. It will still get a little wonky on heavy landings, but obviously that's realistic though. Like, if you were to watch Travis Pastrana do the Red Bull straight rhythm, when he backflipped the finish line jump and landed flat and his arm like popped off, and you saw the handlebar shake when he landed, like that, like now it kind of feels like that. Like, it happens when it should. So that's very nice. It just makes everything way more consistent. Like, casing jumps is a little more controllable, over jumping's a little more controllable. It still helps to do that trick, landing on your back wheel while leaning forward, to stabilize the bike. Like, that definitely still helps, but it's not as much of a necessity as it used to be. So that is very cool. I'm gonna pop in some videos right now though. And that'll show off the fact that, yeah, these jumps I was able to clear but cannot clear anymore. So yeah, just to show that off. Another thing that's been worked on is some of the slow speed stuff, like the slow speed leg simulation, I believe is what it was officially called, but it helps a lot with the slow speed. And as I say that, I get some wonky slow speed, but yeah, before, going up hills like this was very, very difficult, because yeah, you would get swapped all over the place, then it would start getting really bouncy, whereas now it is so much more consistent. Like, even just when I got wonky going up that triple step up thing, I probably would have crashed before. Like, there was probably no way of saving that. So that's super sick. I'm gonna pop in another video though, just to show when I do crash. But yeah, so that is super sick. And those, honestly, right there are probably my favorite changes for beta 18, but a couple others that I do really like. I'll just hop into the settings real quick just to show off. So if you go into simulation, you have a bunch of camera options for third person. I personally don't use third person. Occasionally I will, just because the whips look sick in this game. So now I might start experimenting a little more with third person now that I can change it to my liking. So that's definitely a plus, but again, doesn't matter a whole lot to me, but I'm stoked that it's there. Now if you go into miscellaneous, you've got a ton more options for audio, which is very, very nice. You can turn on and off these pit environment sounds, so it's like music on the track and random stuff like that. The aero volume is very nice to be able to control, because that's the wind. It's very loud, so glad we were able to mess with that. Plus you got brakes. I kind of like the sound of the brakes, but you can turn that off if you want. And then another thing too is when you're loading into a track, you can mess with the terrain deformation before you load in, so that way you don't have to go into the files and mess with it, which is super, super cool. So you can just load up a track with like 5 times terrain deformation, ride around a little bit, back out, and then bump it up to like 10 and ride around, instead of having to like quit the game, mess with the files, load it up again, quit the game, mess with the files, load it up again. Like it's tedious to do it that way. So that is very, very cool. And then there's been a bunch of other quality of life additions, I guess. One of them being load times, which when you load this game for the first time on beta 18, it's gonna take forever just because it's caching everything. But that, again, to help with the load time, so don't freak out, just wait a while and you'll pop right in eventually. But yeah, and then a bunch of server stuff as well, which I don't do a whole lot of online racing, so again, can't speak too much on that. It doesn't affect me a whole lot, but I am excited for when I do some more online racing, because it'll be nice to load in faster and whatnot. And then just a quick, doesn't have to do with beta 18, but I have stopped using Reshade because there's a lot of issues with Reshade when it comes to like performance and whatnot. And once I updated to beta 18, there's like a couple tracks that I couldn't even launch them with Reshade installed. So I ended up just uninstalling it, even though it looks significantly better when you do have Reshade, but I don't want to deal with all the little quirks. So yeah, not using Reshade, but either way, I am a huge fan of this update. Very, very good. I'm excited to see where they go from here, because I feel like the game feels a lot more consistent, which was probably like the most annoying thing in my opinion about this game, was just there were some times where random things would happen, and yeah, it just, you couldn't really figure out why. Whereas now everything feels more consistent. So yeah, very good change. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, give me a like. Either way, I will see you in the next one.